For my final destination, I'm sending my drones to explore a farm with an unusual crop. Glad rags at the ready, we're heading to Wyke Manor estate. The Vale of Evesham in Worcester is known for its fertile soil and market gardening. And this farm is no exception. It's been run by the same family for the past 250 years. Among their crops are barley, wheat, peas and beans. But there's also a very special crop. You can't see it at the moment. It's only visible for 2 weeks of the year. And when it makes its appearance, it's as arresting as a bride and groom on their big day.
It's not the most important part of the wedding day, but it is where the party starts. It sort of encapsulates that joy and that happiness that you felt when you were taking your first steps together as a married couple.
It somehow sort of just captures everything about what your marriage is hoping to be. It's just a wonderful feeling. It's magical.
It's a lovely way to start that life, I think.
Charles Hudson and his team grow flowers for their petals, which go on to become confetti. The idea came to Charles 20 years ago.
I was walking out of the churchyard where there had been a wedding at the weekend, and out of the lich gate on the road there was a lot of dirty, wet paper confetti.
And Charles suddenly came rushing down in his car, as he always does, and he said, "I've just had a great idea. Why don't we use these petals for confetti?"
So we then started experimenting, growing different flowers whose petals would keep their shape and colour when they were dry. And eventually, after a couple of years, we came up with flowers that would do that, and that's a major part of our farming business here.
Sally Young has been working here for the past 11 years.
These are our delphinium petals, which were chosen because they're tiny and floaty and beautifully light. They're completely natural, biodegradable, straight from the flower, and then we just dry them so that they last longer.
And having eco-friendly confetti is all the rage nowadays, counting the rich and famous among the clientele.
The most exciting customers we had were Charles and Camilla, where Harry and William organised the confetti, and it was all quite hush-hush and picked up in black limousines. And then we saw the photos in the paper of the boys throwing them over their father, which was very exciting.
It all seems an idyllic occupation, but there is a catch. With just one harvest a year and a global business to maintain, everything hangs on the all-important summer bloom.
When we plant the flowers, we obviously watch expectantly to see them emerge and hope that that's okay. And then they grow through the growing season and we care for them. And then, as they begin to rise out of the green field, one gets successively more nervous because the flowers are more exposed to risk and danger, to the weather, to rain. And as we suffered in 2007, we lost the whole crop to floods. It was just devastating. So the anxiety is caused by, each year we're hoping to harvest about £250,000 worth of petals. So that's what's at risk if the weather goes wrong on us. And we can't do anything about it. It's really frightening.
With the summer wedding spike just around the corner when demand goes through the roof, it's an anxious wait for Charles. It's 2 weeks later, and my drones are back to see the results.
Every year, it never ceases to enthrall me when I walk down to the field and I suddenly see this blaze of colour that I can walk through, and it's literally like sort of walking through heaven. Five days ago, this was just a green field. We've been through quite a hard winter, some hard frosts, and you don't believe it's ever going to turn into this. And to come out here today and see all these blooms out, it's just absolutely thrilling. When I was a little boy, my mother gave me a flower bed and said, "This is your flower bed," and I was allowed to plant whatever flowers I wanted. When I began this project, when I finally got a field that worked, I said, "Oh, I've grown a few flowers." And he said, "Oh, well, I'll come up and have a look at them." And she arrived, and she couldn't believe it, and tears came to her eyes. She's not with us anymore, so it's a lovely memory and tribute to her.
This floral tribute can produce 250,000 bags of confetti for hundreds of special events.
We try and pick the petals with as little damage to them as possible because they're dried naturally, and we want them to keep their natural shape and colour, so they, throw well.
It's a truly astonishing sight. And when turned into confetti, it quite literally scatters joy all around.